Good morning. Welcome to Unity of Charlotte, where our mission is to nurture a deep, mature experience of God through the practice of unity principle. Simply put, we are here to love, grow, and serve. I am Maria Malave, and I'm so glad you chose to join us on YouTube this morning or in Zoom. Let us start the service by sharing our statement of oneness, and let that lead us into our opening prayer. Together now, there is one presence and one power in my life and in the universe, God the good, omnipotent. And now, Reverend Jim Fuller, who's our speaker for today, will be leading us in the prayer. Thank you.
Good morning. So let's join together in a moment of prayer. We just gently close our eyes. Take a nice centering breath. And we acknowledge that we have gathered together this morning for the purpose of connecting with that presence, that spirit, that infinite intelligence that we call divine love, divine mind, that we call the Spirit of God. As we do this, let us remember that there are people all across this country, all across this world, joining with us now, in whatever way they join, to open to that presence and that spirit. So it is more than just us gathered here. We are part of a larger whole that is inviting that presence and spirit of God, divine mind, to be with us now, to unite us, to open our eyes and our ears and our hearts, and to bless us in whatever way it would bless us this morning. And so we give thanks for this opportunity to gather, to support one another, and to be part of that greater gathering. And so it is. Amen.
Thank you again for being with us this morning. Welcome to those of you joining us on Zoom. We open our Zoom link in a little bit before the service begins so you can greet one another. We also have the Zoom connection open after the service so that you can talk with your friends. For those joining us on YouTube, we invite you to subscribe to our talks and to like the Unity of Charlotte YouTube channel. That helps you and others find our YouTube broadcast available at any time. And we look forward to seeing you in person in that not too distant future. On normal Sundays, we have a great program for children and teens that meets at the same time as this service. So please plan to bring your children or grandchildren. If you or anyone if you or anyone you know is in need of prayer, you can place a prayer request through the website, unityofcharlotte.org. Our prayer team is always ready to join with you, holding your loved ones in prayer. You can also call the Unity Telephone Prayer Ministry Silent Unity at any time of the day or night. Just dial 800 Now Pray for personal affirmative prayer. Now for our announcements. The book club will meet the third Sunday after service via Zoom at 11 a.m. The book for this month is When Prayers Unanswered by John Wilkinson. The Unity Men's Group meets in person the second and fourth Wednesday from 9:30 to 11 a.m. And a second virtual Zoom meeting the first and third Wednesday at 7 p.m. to 8:30 p.m. for those that work during the day. Affirmative prayer and meditation groups meet by Zoom Tuesday evening at 7:15 with Barbara Rolfe. Dialogue service is Wednesday at 1 p.m. to 2:30 p.m. via Zoom, also with Barbara Rolfe. A Course in Miracle meets Thursday mornings at 9:30 a.m. via Zoom. You can find all of the Zoom links in the weekly email from Unity of Charlotte. If you're not receiving the emails and would like to, go to the website unityofcharlotte.org and sign up so we can stay in touch. And now for today's message, again, here is our Reverend Jim Fuller.
Well, good morning, everyone. It's great to see you. Great to be with everybody this morning. I'm going to find the right view up here so that I can get the screen set up because I have done something strange here. Let's try that. All right. Much better, I think. All right, let's begin with our affirmation for April. And let's all right, here we go. All right, let's share this April affirmation together. You can see that and hopefully read along with me. Together we say, today I am reborn to my timeless self. Trusting in my Creator, I renounce my belief in loss and death. I step past my self-centered fears and claim my true life. I am spirit, eternal and unlimited. Today, I am reborn to my timeless self. Okay. There we go. That's better. All right. Well, as we get ready to go into our time of meditation, I'm going to share a little bit of music with you. I invite you just to relax into this, to allow yourself to listen to the message of this song, and just to begin to quiet the mind so that we can go inside.
I will leave this world as it is, go inside to find my God. I will leave this world as it is, go inside to find my God. I will leave this world as it is, go inside to find my God. I will leave this world as it is, go inside to find my God. Inside there is peace, inside there is joy, inside there is more than enough. Inside there is peace, inside there is joy, inside there is sacred love. I will leave this day, I will leave this day as it is, go inside to find my God. I will leave this day as it is, go inside to find my God. Inside there is peace, inside there is joy, inside there is more than enough. Inside there is peace, inside there is joy, inside there is sacred love. I will leave this life as it is, go inside to find my God. find my God. Go inside to find my God. I'll go inside to find my God.
So if you haven't already done so, I invite you just to gently close your eyes. Allow your attention to move inside, to feel the life, the energy, the aliveness that's present in you. To feel the very gentle movement of the breath as it moves in and through your body. In this moment, right now, we are connected with that presence, with that energy, with that spirit of infinite life, infinite love, limitless understanding, the presence and the spirit that we call God. And as we each unite in our own way with that presence inside us, that one presence, that one life unites us all together in itself, connects us. We know that in this greater presence, there is no lack, there is no limitation, there is nothing that needs to be done or undone. All is perfect, complete, and whole. We allow ourselves to sense that wholeness and that completion that is present with us and within us right now. Let us just take a few moments and rest together in the quiet, in this state of wholeness. Continuing, we feel that life, that aliveness, that wholeness that is present in and with us now. Once again, nothing to be added, nothing to be taken away. Simply being right here, right now, whole and complete, connected, heart to heart, mind to mind, spirit to spirit, with our Creator and with one another. I invite you in this moment just to notice if there might be any people or names or prayers that might be wanting to arise to your awareness. People, names, or prayers. And if so, just to share those silently, right now, quietly, as they might arise. And as we allow those names and prayers to continue, we give thanks for the activity of God working in and through our lives and every life we know. And for answered prayer, let us say together in advance, thank you, God. Thank you, God. Thank you, God. And so it is. Amen. Well, I'll invite you to gently bring your attention back to the room that you're seated in, to your body, to your hands and feet and fingers and toes. And I'll share some thoughts and ideas with you this morning. Some thoughts and ideas. I'll start with one that was a thought for me a couple of days ago. And that question, that thought was, how many people, I wonder, are laying in bed, semi-awake or wanting to be asleep at maybe 4 in the morning, or maybe just when you first lay down, and your mind is just kicking out ideas. It's just turning out idea after idea, thought after thought, maybe worry after worry, maybe making up whole conversations inside itself. It can happen at any time of the night as we're trying to sleep, or even during the day. For me, it often happens around 4 or 5 in the morning. A Course in Miracles tells us that our minds are very undisciplined. That's putting it mildly. It also confirms that they're not actually helping us as they're endlessly spinning out ideas and planning and worrying and doing all the things they do. It's what we often call mind chatter. It can be quite annoying at times. So, should we try to seize control of our minds and make them stop? Make the mind stop? If you've tried that, you notice it's pretty difficult. Should we just ignore it and let the thoughts just waft on through? It's one way to deal with them. Are those thoughts that are going through your mind, floating through my mind, is that who we are? Well, today's topic is the mind. Unity's a New Thought Church. It's all about the power of the mind and working with the mind. So it seems very appropriate. We'll be talking about my mind, about your mind, about mind in general. And I'll be talking about mind today from Jesus' perspective, both Jesus as found in the Bible and Jesus as found in A Course in Miracles. You know, working with the mind is an interesting thing. One of the things you'll probably notice is you, and probably most people you know, spend a lot of time when you're not at work, busy occupying or distracting your mind. A lot of people watch TV or read. I've been reading more than usual over the last year. Some people turn to sports. Others turn to the news. That way they can at least feel informed, or maybe at least feel a little better about their situation, because usually your situation's a lot better than what you see on the news. Some people turn toward food or sleep or video games or many other things in an effort to occupy or distract the mind, keep the mind busy. Because when we sit still, we notice the busyness of the mind. We may also notice that when we get caught up in our minds, it's really hard to tell what's going on and what's real. The mind can really distract us. I'll share a couple stories with you. One's from a newsletter that Beverly Hutchinson puts out. She's a Course in Miracles teacher. She shared this beautiful story of a dream, well, interesting story of a dream, a couple years ago. She says, in the dream, my husband and I were to meet a friend at the stage door on a Broadway show in New York. Our friend had performed on Broadway and always had the best stories to share. So I was excited to hear about his latest escapades. Suddenly, I realized, she said, I didn't have my shoes on and that they were locked inside the theater. My husband, Paul, found a way in and said he would go get them. I knew as he stayed in the theater longer and longer, that he had forgotten about me, that he was inside talking with our friend and laughing and having fun. And then, as happens in dreams, for no good reason, the theater was suddenly unlocked and I was able to walk in. And as I walked in, I found my husband, shoes in hand, talking and laughing, just as I had expected. I was so mad at him. How could you forget me? I questioned. And then she says, I woke up. My husband, Paul, she said, was already downstairs making coffee. I could hear him happily humming, and I thought, he's so uncaring. I walked downstairs just fuming and looked at him. What? He said. What? I said angrily. You left me outside the theater with no shoes and went in to have fun. As the words were coming out of my mouth, she says, I knew how silly they sounded, but I didn't care. I told him about the dream. After ranting, he looked at me and he said, but sweetie, it was just a dream. Isn't it amazing how things that we even know are just dreams can seem so real, can trigger such strong emotions in us even after we wake up? I also read about a story about a woman who had begun losing her vision. Her vision was deteriorating. Fortunately, it never totally went away, but as it deteriorated, she began to experience hallucinations. At first, she didn't know they were hallucinations, and then she realized that was what was happening. And that really freaked her out. She thought, wow, I'm going to be blind and crazy. Eventually, she mentioned about the hallucinations to one of her doctors, and the doctor said, oh, that's not so unusual. What is happening is your mind is trying to fill in what it thinks should or could be happening that you can't see right now. When I read that story, I thought, oh, that's just like what I learned in psychology classes in college. There's a term known as confabulation. Confabulation. It's what our minds do to fill in lost time. People who have accidents or traumas or lose time due to alcohol or drugs often find that their mind has filled in for them what happened in those lost hours or days. It never happened, but the mind fills in what it thinks could have or should have happened. I remember when I learned about that, I wondered, how often are our minds doing that and we don't notice? We take it as reality. Well, here's the ideas I wanted to share from Jesus on the mind. I'll start with the Bible and then add some from Course in Miracles. In the Bible, in Deuteronomy, there is a little prayer, Hebrew prayer called the Shema. Got to remember, when you're thinking about Jesus, you're thinking about Jewish people. So very sacred prayer to the Hebrew people, the Shema. And the prayer goes like this from Deuteronomy. Hear, O Israel, the Lord is our God. The Lord is one. And you shall love the Lord your God with all your heart, with all your soul, with all your might. Comes from Moses. Moses goes on to say, keep these words I'm commanding you in your heart today, recite them to your children and talk about them when you're at home and when you're away, when you rise and when you go to bed. Bind them as a sign on your hand, affix them to your forehead, and write them on your doorposts of your house and your gates. How many of you have gone to visit a Jewish friend and noticed a little decoration, maybe a few inches long, sitting on the doorway as you enter the house, a little tube or metal tube or box? It's called a mezuzah. And inside that mezuzah is the little Shema prayer. Hear, O Israel, the Lord our God, the Lord is one. Well, if we go to our very first gospel ever written, the Gospel of Mark, we find an interesting story. It's repeated again in Matthew and Luke, where Jesus refers to the Shema prayer. Here's the twist, though. In Mark, one of the scribes asks him, which commandment is first of all? Which is most important? And Jesus replies with the prayer. Jesus says, the first is this, the most important is this. Hear, O Israel, the Lord our God, the Lord is one. And you shall love the Lord your God with all your heart, with all your soul, with all your might, and with all your mind. The second is like this: you shall love your neighbor as yourself. There's no commandment greater than these. Did you hear what happened? Jesus added the word mind to the Shema prayer. Like a good teacher, he was expanding the teaching. And then he paired that expanded teaching with another teaching found later in Deuteronomy, to love your neighbor. If we flip on to the next gospel written, the Gospel of Matthew, we'll find that Matthew includes the same story, but he reduces the number back to 3. He says, he has Jesus reply, you shall love the Lord your God with all your heart, with all your soul. He leaves out might, and he includes mind. By the time we get to the third of the 3 gospels of that style written, Luke includes all 4, including the added line of mind. When I first noticed that, I started wondering why the heck Jesus would add the word mind to this very traditional Hebrew prayer. I guess he was trying to teach something, wasn't he? What might loving God with all our mind mean? What do you think? Well, for me, it implies using our minds, in addition to our other capacities, but using the attention of our mind to focus on, to notice and appreciate and love the presence of God. Not the old man in the sky with the long gray beard, but the living presence of God all around us. God in us, God everywhere, God in the others. Using the mind to love God that's present in one another. So loving our neighbor actually becomes a part of loving God. Loving the God present in our neighbor. Course in Miracles reminds us that as we learn to see God in our neighbor, we'll begin to see God in ourselves. And not to mention the fact that if we're busy loving God and loving our neighbor, our mind has much less room to wander and to worry and to spin out silly thoughts, doesn't it? It's occupied doing something helpful. You know, living here on this planet in this world is an interesting experience. And we basically have 3 different types of experiences, at least I'm thinking so, that we experience here in this world. One are the purely mental experiences that happen inside our own minds. Okay? Second, we have physical or material experiences, the experiences of physical forms, of objects, of people, of things. And then finally, we have what could be called mystical experiences, the transcendent, the divine. Certainly not thoughts, definitely not things, but yet they are experienced. Now, those first 2 experiences, the mental and the physical or material, are subject to great variability and constant change. And that can actually be a good thing. It means I can change my mind. It means I can change my thinking. It means I can change physical things around me, right? It can be a little bit of a challenge because things don't always stay changed the way I want them to, but I do have the capacity to work with them. We do deal with the fact here in this life that things, mental or material, don't seem to stay the same for long, even if we change them. Ideas change, beliefs change. You know, the science and the history that I was taught as a child in school have all changed. These are hard facts, but they have definitely changed. Even things like mountains and galaxies continue to change and shift. And we're told eventually they won't be here anymore. We as individuals change. Our bodies change. Also our thoughts, our ideas, our fears, our hopes. So where do we look for stable ground? Where do we look for stable ground? Well, those who have managed to quiet their minds some, to put enough distance between themselves and that spinning out of thoughts and mental ruminations, will tell us that they've discovered that you really can't find much stability in the realm of the mental or the material, but you can in the realm of the mystical, of the divine, that which we call spirit, heaven, God. And the challenge, of course, for us is to figure out how do we connect with that and how do we stay connected with that. I believe that's what Jesus was pointing toward when he taught, love the Lord your God with all your heart, all your soul, all your might. And then he adds, and with all your mind. And love your neighbors. Love that manifestation of God that's seated right beside you or standing right in front of you. Love it as yourself, as another part of God, as another part of God. Use your mind to do that. Again, when the mind is engaged in devotion, in loving God, loving neighbor, it can't be busy making up stories and dreams, or creating a real or imagined problems, or even keeping us awake. Engaging the mind for the purpose of noticing and loving God, appreciating non-physical goodness that is present, or simply affirming the divine, affirming the presence of the divine. It places the mind into the service of something greater than itself. And that in turn begins to free us from the endless spin of thoughts and plans and worries and imagining, the restless human mind. Whenever I choose to look lovingly on any part of creation, remembering it as a part of God, I place myself in a position where I can potentially encounter some part of the mystical, where I can have one of those experiences of greater stability. Practice it often enough, and we have somewhat ready access to higher levels of experience, ones that really are somewhat changeless. It's interesting in the Bible, in the Genesis story, after God creates all the animals and all the things, he invites Adam over and he invites Adam to name all these things. And whatever Adam names them, that's what they will be for him. I suspect that may also be true for us, whatever we name it. Here's how the Course in Miracles describes a related thought. You live by symbols. You have made up names for everything you see. Each one becomes a separate entity identified by its own name, and by this you carve it out of unity, out of the wholeness. By this you designate its special attributes and set it off from other things by emphasizing the space around it. This space you lay between all things to which you give different names, to which you call happenings in terms of place and times, all bodies which are greeted by a name. This space you see as setting off all things from one another is the means by which this world's perception is achieved. You see something where nothing is, and as well see nothing where there is a unity, a totality, a wholeness, a space between all things and between you. When you call upon a brother or a sister, it is to the body that you make appeal. Their true identity, the mystical level, is hidden from you by what you believe they are. We have made up names for everything. Each one becomes a separate entity identified by its own name. By this, we carve it out of the wholeness of creation. So what's the solution to that? Well, the Course suggests a couple things, including one that I'm going to read to you as a meditation today, just for a couple of minutes. I'm going to read you 2 little paragraphs. So I'll invite you to close your eyes and just take a breath or two and get quiet. And just listen to these 2 paragraphs of thought. Let us be still an instant and forget all things we ever learned, all thoughts we ever had, and every preconception we hold of what things mean and what their purpose is. Let us remember not our own ideas of what the world is for. We do not know. Let every image held of everyone be loosened from our minds and swept away. Let us be innocent of judgment, unaware of any thought of evil or of good that ever crossed our mind about anyone. Now do we know them not, but we are free to learn of them and learn of them anew. Now are they born again to us and we to them, without the past that sentenced them to die and us with them. Now are they free to live as we are free, because an ancient learning has passed away and left a place for truth to be reborn. Let us remember not our own ideas of what the world is for. Let every image held of everyone be loosened from our minds, swept away. Now we are free to learn of them and learn of them anew. Now they are free to live as we are, because ancient learning has passed away and left a place for truth to be reborn. And so it is. I find that a beautiful and powerful image. All the old thoughts released and swept away, creating room for truth. The truth that sets us free, perhaps. I love the beauty of the Course, but many people, when I share the Course things with them, say, well, I'd like something a little more concrete, please, Jim. So I will share with you just a couple sentences from the Course that do refer to this naming and labeling that we do. The Course at one point says, use all the little names and symbols which delineate the world of forms. It calls it the world of darkness. Use all the little names and symbols which delineate the world of form, yet accept them not as reality. Use all the names the world bestows on them only for convenience, yet do not forget they share the name of God along with you. Use the names the world bestows on them only for convenience, yet do not forget they share the name of God along with you. So, back to Jesus, who says, love the Lord your God, present in all the forms and present in the people you see, present even where there seems to be empty spaces that separate you from them or them from one another. Love the godness, love the goodness, love the wholeness in your neighbor and yourself. And use all your heart and your soul and your might and your mind to do that. Doing that, I do believe, actually can, I've experienced it, begin to free us from the chatter of the mind, help us sleep better at night, and also bring us into the presence of the greater mystical, of the spiritual, of that which does not change, which extends beyond the limits of time and space. Well, as always, I have a little affirmation to share with you. So I will have to get to that screen. Click. Here's a thought for us to work with during this coming week. It is, I love the God I see in you. Say that with me. I love the God I see in you. One more time. I love the God I see in you. Close your eyes and think of somebody. Just let anybody come to mind. And with that person in your mind, just think the thought or say the words, I love the God I see in you. Yes, absolutely. I love the God I see in you. If you're not seeing it yet, don't worry. Just use the affirmation. That's what affirmations are for. They're to help move us to the place where we can see it. Now think of somebody else, anybody, whoever pops into your mind. And with them in mind, say with me, I love the God I see in you. I love the God I see in you. Yeah, feel that. And we'll pick one more person. We'll let our little minds or the universe point out one more person for us. And for that last person, we say, I love the God I see in you. I love the God I see in you. And so it is. Well, I hope that was helpful. I hope that gave you some thoughts about what you can do or how you can work with things, both when your mind is spinning out thoughts at 4 a.m. or whenever it's spinning out thoughts, and also just as you're going through your day, as you're remembering that presence of God that is present in all these things, and allowing your mind to work with that rather than with the general just ruminations of the human thought. Well, we are coming to the part in our service where in a moment we're going to have an opportunity to share an offering. The Unity of Charlotte operates and continues to function quite well because of your gifts and offerings, your tithes, and your ongoing support. And we appreciate that support very, very much. It has enabled this church to run for many, many years and will continue to sustain it forward. So I invite you just to consider today what you will be sharing as your offering or your gift. There's a couple ways you can share offerings with Unity of Charlotte. One is you can send a payment or a check to Unity of Charlotte at 401 East Arrowwood Road, 28217. Or, of course, the quick and easy way is to go to your phone or your tablet and go to unityofcharlotte.org and click on the donate link. And that allows you to donate securely online, and you'll receive an immediate notification acknowledging receipt of your donation. So, taking a moment to consider or remember either what you already have given or what you're going to give at the end of this service, I invite us to share together this prosperity blessing. Together we say, joyously, I give this gift, knowing the divine presence blesses and multiplies all that I am, all that I have, all that I give, and all that I receive. Thank you, God. Well, again, thank you for joining us here on Zoom this morning or for watching us on YouTube. If you're watching us on YouTube, please do follow up with us. Please know there's always a free time to talk after the service on Zoom. And you can also, contact us through the church website. And now I'm going to invite us to share together our prayer of protection as a closing. So we will find that. All right. Taking a nice breath. So we're really present as we share this. So we're really present fully. Let us say together, the light of God surrounds us. The love of God enfolds us. The power of God protects us, and the presence of God watches over us. Wherever we are, God is, and all is well. Thank you for being with us today, and we'll look forward to talking to you at the end of this Zoom, and also to seeing you next week when our next guest speaker will be here. God bless.